What if I told you that the most powerful prophecy Jesus ever gave wasn't about fire raining from the sky? It wasn't about wars or earthquakes or nations collapsing, but about a deception so massive, so subtle, that even his most faithful followers wouldn't see it coming. A prophecy so dangerous, it had to be buried. Imagine this. For nearly 2,000 years, the truest words of Jesus about the end times were erased, not by accident, not by time, but by design. Locked away in caves, banned by councils, and dismissed as heresy by those who claimed to guard the truth. But what if the apocalypse isn't something that's coming? What if it's already here, unfolding all around us? And what if the signs we were told to look for, wars, disasters, celestial events, were just shadows of the real battle taking place inside the human soul? There are words Jesus spoke, words found in banned scriptures like the Apocalypse of Peter, the Gospel of Thomas, and the secret Book of John, that reveal a terrifying truth: that many would come in his name, build temples, claim authority, and yet have nothing to do with him. That entire systems of belief would rise in his name, but twist his message beyond recognition. You may think you've heard the gospel. You may think you understand the end times, but I'm here to show you you've only been told part of the story. And the most powerful part, the one that could change how you see history, faith, and yourself, was hidden until now. In this video, we're going to uncover the last and most dangerous prophecy Jesus ever gave. A prophecy not about destruction, but about awakening. So stay with me, especially until part 6, because if you miss it, you might miss the very moment your soul was waiting for. Before we begin, comment below, "I want to awaken." Like this video. Subscribe, because the unveiling has already begun. Imagine this: a dusty jar, cracked by time, buried beneath the burning sands of Egypt. A local farmer stumbles upon it while digging near the cliffs of Nag Hammadi in 1945. He has no idea that inside this fragile container lies a secret the church hoped would never resurface. Inside that jar were leather-bound manuscripts, sealed, hidden, and forgotten for centuries. And among them were the lost words of Jesus. Not myths, not legends, but actual writings, many attributed to his closest disciples, containing visions of the end times, prophecies unlike anything we've ever been taught. But here's the question: if these were truly the words of Jesus, why were they banned? Why were they buried? To answer that, we must first understand something deeper, something most Christians have never been told. You see, the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, were not the only accounts of Jesus' life and teachings. In fact, in the early centuries, dozens of Gospels circulated. Some were written by his disciples, others by early followers and mystics who claimed to have received direct visions from him. Among these were texts like the Apocalypse of Peter, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and the secret Book of John. And what they reveal is staggering. These texts speak not only of external wars and disasters, but of an apocalypse within, a Venmon, a revelation of the truth hiding beneath the illusions of this world. Take the Apocalypse of Peter, for example. In it, Jesus doesn't just warn of political chaos or cosmic destruction. He tells Peter that truth itself will be hidden, distorted by those in power, and that many will speak in his name, yet have nothing to do with him. That alone should shake us, because look around. How many voices today claim to represent Christ while sowing fear, division, and greed? But this isn't just a modern issue. As early as the 2nd and 3rd centuries, powerful bishops and councils began deciding which gospels would be allowed and which would be buried. The church fathers, men like Irenaeus and Athanasius, declared many of these texts heresy, not because they were proven false. Picture this: a massive cathedral bathed in candlelight, marble floors, golden altars, robes flowing, and the name of Jesus echoing from every wall. But now, look closer. Behind the stained glass and incense, there's a hunger for power, a craving for control, and a silence that hides the cries of the poor. Now ask yourself, is this the church Jesus came to build? In the Apocalypse of Peter, one of the many texts buried for centuries, Jesus offers a haunting warning to his disciple. There will be false shepherds, blind men, leading the blind. They will love wealth and hate the truth. They will build temples for their own glory and oppress the poor in my name. Let those words settle in for a moment, because he's not talking about pagans. He's not describing outsiders. He's talking about those who stand inside the church, wearing his name like a crown, but knowing nothing of his heart. Could it be that Jesus wasn't just warning us about antichrists from the outside, but about a system rising from within? It's a question that should shake us, especially today. When megachurches operate like corporations, when televangelists beg for donations while flying private jets, when spiritual leaders preach fear, division, and nationalism, all in the name of Christ, we have to ask, are we witnessing the very prophecy Jesus gave playing out before our eyes? The Gospel of Judas, another banned text, takes the warning even further. In it, Jesus laughs, not out of joy, but sorrow, as his disciples worship a false god. He tells Judas that future generations will sacrifice in his name, believing they are serving him, but in truth, they're following an illusion. That illusion is subtle. It wears robes, it sings hymns, it holds a Bible in one hand and a throne in the other, but it does not know him. In Matthew 24, even the canonical gospel echoes this fear. Jesus says, "Many will come in my name and deceive many. False prophets will arise, and even the elect may be led astray." He saw it coming. Not just war, not just famine, but a spiritual deception so powerful it would wear the face of the church while hiding a different God behind the curtain. It's easy to point fingers at other religions or cultures, but the most dangerous lie is the one closest to the truth. The lie that looks like the gospel, sounds like Jesus, but leads people away from the kingdom within. In the Apocalypse of Peter, Jesus warns that those false leaders will be cast into outer darkness, not because they didn't believe, but because they knew and still chose control over compassion. This isn't just about bad preachers or corrupt institutions. It's a wake-up call to all of us, because we too can fall into the trap of following charisma over character, performance over presence, religion over relationship. So let me ask you, when Jesus returns, if he walked into some of our churches today, would he recognize them? Or would he flip the tables all over again? And perhaps more haunting, would he recognize us? In the next part, we'll explore why so many of these warnings were hidden and what secret Jesus taught that threatened the very foundation of the church's power.
It's a teaching that could change everything you've believed about heaven, salvation, and where the kingdom truly lives.
Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a man in rags, alone, wandering through the desert. He has no temple, no followers, no book in his hands. And yet, he carries the kingdom of God inside him. Now open your eyes and ask yourself this. What if the kingdom isn't a place we go after we die, but a presence we're meant to awaken to now? In the Gospel of Thomas, a text buried for centuries, Jesus is quoted saying, "If those who lead you say the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds will get there before you. If they say it's in the sea, the fish will get there first. But the kingdom is within you, and it is outside you." This isn't poetry, it's a revolution. Because if that's true, if the kingdom of God is already within us, then no church, no priest, no empire has the power to grant or withhold it. It's not something you earn, it's something you remember. But that kind of message was too dangerous to survive. It broke the very foundation of religious control. If salvation doesn't require a temple, if the presence of God isn't locked inside a building, then who needs gatekeepers? That's why texts like Gospel of Thomas and Gospel of Mary Magdalene were banned. Because they didn't just challenge theology, they challenged authority. In Gospel of Mary, Jesus tells Mary Magdalene, not Peter, not James, but Mary, that salvation comes not from obeying rules, but from overcoming the powers of ignorance, desire, and fear. He speaks of inner realms, spiritual powers called Archons, that block the soul from remembering its divine origin. Mary then shares this secret with the other disciples, but what do? They reject her, mock her, doubt that a woman could be the vessel of such knowledge. And so the truth is buried again, not just in the sand, but in silence. Can you see why this gospel never made it into the Bible? Because it flips the hierarchy upside down. It says the kingdom isn't in Rome. It isn't in stained glass. It's in you, right now. That's not just empowering, it's threatening. Because once people realize they are not beggars at the gates of heaven, but children of the living Father, as the Gospel of Thomas calls us, everything changes. No more fear-based control, no more selling salvation, no more trading grace for loyalty. This is why Jesus said in John 8:32, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." But here's the tragedy. The truth didn't just get buried, it got replaced with rituals, with rules, with religion. And the kingdom? It became something we wait for instead of something we wake up to. So let me ask you this. If the kingdom really is within you, what's stopping you from finding it? In the next part, we'll meet the invisible forces Jesus warned about, the Archons, the rulers of illusion who keep us trapped in fear and asleep to who we really are. They've hidden the kingdom in plain sight, but their time may be running out.
Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything around you was a carefully constructed illusion. Your fears, your insecurities, even your beliefs, not born from within you, but planted like seeds by forces you've never seen and never questioned. Who then is truly in control? In the secret book of John, one of the most profound texts discovered in the Nag Hammadi library, Jesus reveals a shocking truth to his disciple. There are rulers, not of flesh and blood, but of illusion. They are archons, and they shape the world to keep souls blind. Let that settle for a moment. Not demons, not politicians, but ancient spiritual forces masquerading as truth. These Archons aren't monsters in stories. They are forces of deception, of fear, of ego, of control. And according to Jesus in this forbidden text, they are the real enemy of the soul. They twist reality. They whisper half-truths. They use religion, systems, even culture, not to free you, but to keep you asleep. In Ephesians 6:12, even the canonical Bible hints at this. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world. The Archons are everywhere. They feed off fear, and fear is everywhere. Turn on the news, crisis. Scroll through social media, outrage. Go to church, sometimes even there you'll find fear disguised as holiness. Can you see it now? The Archons don't need to chain your body. They only need to cloud your mind. And here's the hardest truth. We often serve them without knowing it. When we judge instead of love, when we worship rules over compassion, when we choose comfort over truth, we feed the system that keeps us blind. But Jesus came to expose them. In the Gospel of Mary, he tells Mary that the soul must pass through the Archons, each one a gatekeeper of human weakness, before it can return to the divine. And only those who awaken, only those who remember who they are, can pass through the gates unharmed. That's why knowledge, true knowledge, was so dangerous. Because once you see the illusion, you can't be controlled by it anymore. That's why these texts were banned, because they didn't just point to heaven. They showed you how to reclaim it. But the war isn't over. Even today, Archons are working through media, politics, even religion to keep us reactive, divided, and blind. But what if the real apocalypse isn't about the world burning? What if the veil is finally being lifted? And once it's lifted, what will we see? In the next part, we'll journey to the highlands of Ethiopia, where ancient monks preserved texts that the Western world tried to destroy, and where a prophecy hidden in the fire just might hold the key to our awakening.
Imagine this. High in the mountains of East Africa, behind the stone walls of an ancient monastery, a barefoot monk lights a candle at dawn. The air is still. The chants echo softly. In his hands, a scroll, aged, worn, but alive. Not a copy, not a translation, an original. Long before the printing press, long before Europe claimed ownership of the gospel, Ethiopia had already preserved a different version of the story. While the Western world built cathedrals, debated doctrine, and decided what books to keep and what to burn, Ethiopia was quietly safeguarding sacred texts the rest of the world forgot or rejected. Texts like the Book of Enoch, Jubilees, Baruch, and fragments of ancient apocalypses that were cast out of the canon, yet kept alive in the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition. And here's what's astonishing. In Ethiopia, the Book of Enoch was never lost. It was never banned. It was read aloud in churches, taught to children, revered. The very same book that Western scholars thought had disappeared for over 1,000 years was never missing at all. It was just in Africa. Think about that. While Western institutions buried the truth, Ethiopia protected it. Not in vaults of steel, but in vaults of faith passed down through oral tradition, inked in ge'ez, hidden in mountains where no empire dared to conquer. In the Apocalypse of Adam, one of the texts found in the Nag Hammadi collection, there's a prophecy about a great Redeemer, not one who would bring destruction, but one who would bring hidden knowledge and set souls free from the rulers of illusion. He will reveal what has been hidden from the beginning and awaken those who belong to the light. Some believe this Redeemer is Jesus. Others say it's the awakening itself, the moment when a soul remembers who it really is. Either way, that kind of message doesn't just challenge theology, it shatters control. Because if knowledge is what sets you free, and Ethiopia never lost that knowledge, then maybe, just maybe, the final key isn't in Rome. It isn't in London. It isn't in any library of the West. It's been in the hands of monks, on parchment worn by time, protected by people who never needed approval from the empire. So why hasn't the world been told this? Why haven't we been taught that the oldest complete Christian Bible with 81 books still exists today in Ethiopia? Why weren't we shown that the apocalyptic prophecies the West banned were still being sung in Ge'ez, under candlelight, by people whose lineage never broke? What truth lies in those pages that powerful institutions feared? And more importantly, why is that truth starting to rise now, after all these centuries of silence? In the final part, we'll unlock the last and most dangerous prophecy of all, a revelation not about destruction, but about transformation. Not the end of the world, but the beginning of something we forgot we were always part of.
Picture this: a veil so thin, so subtle, you never noticed it was there. It hangs between what you've been told and what you've always known deep inside. And one day, without warning, it begins to tear. Not with fire, not with thunder, but with truth. Because what if the end times aren't coming? What if they're already here? In the secret book of John, Jesus reveals a prophecy so dangerous it was hidden for centuries, not because it described destruction, but because it described awakening. You are sparks of divine light, he says, trapped in matter, destined to rise again. Let that sink in. You are not just a follower, not a servant, not a sinner waiting for salvation to arrive from the sky. You are light. You are a fragment of the divine, forgotten by the world, but not by the source. And the final judgment? It's not about fire raining from the heavens. It's about whether your inner light will rise or remain hidden. That is the real apocalypse. Because in Greek, the word apocalypsis doesn't mean destruction. It means unveiling. And what's being unveiled isn't just the corruption of institutions or the lies of false prophets, but the truth of who you are. The Gospel of Thomas puts it this way: when you come to know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will realize you are children of the living Father. That's the revelation the church feared. That's the message empires tried to bury. Not that Jesus is coming back, but that he never left. He lives within you, within all of us, waiting for the veil to fall. But awakening comes with cost, because as the Gospel of Mary teaches, the soul must face the forces of ignorance, desire, and wrath before it can ascend. Not symbols, not metaphors, real struggles inside us. The apocalypse, then, is not a war of nations. It's a war of remembrance. It's the moment the illusions fall away and the soul stands naked in the light, seeing itself, perhaps for the first time. And what will it see? A servant? A sinner? Or a spark of God, long buried, now rising? Look at the world around you. Everything feels like it's collapsing. But maybe it's not collapsing. Maybe it's being unveiled. Systems are falling. Old structures are trembling. Truth is surfacing, and with it, the call to awaken. Not everyone will hear it. Not everyone will choose to see. But you're here. You've made it to this moment. So now, I must ask, when the veil finally lifts, will you be ready to remember who you are? Because the end is not destruction. The end is revelation. And revelation, my friend, is the beginning of something holy.